Okay, this discussion is meant to be paired with the PowerPoint over Tricksters, so please do look at that PowerPoint. This will not be enough to get you through all the information you need to know about it. But I want to hit a few things just to clarify some words and clarify some references, give you maybe some additional references to some Trickster characters you may or may not have heard about. So, starting at the origins of Trickster tradition slide, I say that Trickster characters are often used as figures in a creation story. Basically, what a creation story is, it's going to be very popular in folklore. It's an explanation of either how the world, or maybe a smaller part of the world, maybe a lake, or maybe a tribe of people, something like that, it basically came to be. So we'll find a lot of times trickster tales are used to describe genesis of land, of people. And the cool thing about trickster tales is the trickster figure, you have to keep in mind that with a trickster, there's going to be a high level of humor. And so with the creation's often accidental. So you'll have a trickster who creates something that's often very good, but the trickster created this good thing completely accidentally. But the funny thing is, the trickster will try to act like, oh, yeah, I did that on purpose. I completely knew this was going to happen, that this would be created. So this is very common cross-culturally as well. You'll get creation stories very popular in American literature with the Native American literature. We'll have tricksters with creation stories, but also you'll have in Africa, in China, and lots of other nations. You'll have trickster tales and also trickster creation figures. I want to talk about the humor of tricksters and trickster tales. When you read some of the stories, you'll find this to be true for yourself. Keep in mind what I was talking about with the adult material policy on our course syllabus. The humor for trickster tales often involves something called scatological humor, and this is something that's still popular. Fart jokes, poop jokes, pee jokes, vomit, basically bodily fluid humor is going to be scatological humor, especially feces, poop. Okay. Also, you've got a lot of sexual humor. We'll talk about the appetite of a trickster. All the appetites of a trickster are very ravenous, and this includes the sexual appetite. So you often have a lot of sexual humor in trickster tales, which is surprising to some people to have a story that's really really old, that's generations old, and they still have sex jokes in there. Some people are surprised, but going back to personality traits of a trickster figure, I say that along the list, I say that they have strong appetites. Keep in mind, this can be any appetite. It's hunger, it's sexual hunger, food hunger, alcohol. Sometimes you'll have kind of excess of alcohol, but basically, appetite for life and all that's involved is excessive. I also have on here break taboos. Keep in mind, a taboo is going to be something that society sets up. And so, if a trickster figure senses a taboo or something that society says, no, you should not do this, or yes, you should do this, then the often don't do this. The trickster will often challenge or break that taboo just for the sake of it. Okay. Something you'll see some examples of is that tricksters, they do tricks, don't get me wrong, but a lot of trickster tales will feature the trickster being tricked. So you'll find that the trickster kind of gets his comeuppance in a lot of tales. Let's see. Physical traits of a trickster character. Now, you will look at some examples of several different appearances of the trickster, but you'll notice that a lot of times the trickster will be an animal in appearance. Not always. And this is called an anthropomorphic appearance. Basically, it looks like an animal, but it has human characteristics. The story that you read, Harlequin Valentine, it's not quite an anthropomorphic figure, but it is a shapeshifter. So keep in mind that there are several physical traits to a trickster. I try to give you some examples of tricksters in mythology and popular folklore. First slide is Anansi. This is probably I would argue this is probably the most famous trickster figure you have, uh, especially in Africa. Neil Gaiman, who's one of my favorite authors, he actually wrote a popular book called uh, Anansi's Boys. And this book actually features the Anansi trickster character as well as his two sons. So if you, which I'm sure you'll have plenty of time this semester with my class to read extra. If you do, it's a good book. Pick it up. Loki's a popular one recently because they had the Thor movie released, but Loki, not just the comic book Loki, Loki in Norse mythology is straight up trickster figure. One thing I want to go back and talk about, I missed on the personality. A trickster is amoral. What this means is that the trickster does not really have a distinct morality. Doesn't mean that he's bad, or she, because they can switch gender too. A trickster is amoral, meaning that they're not the good guy, they're not the bad guy. They can be either one. They can be both. At the same time, often in the same story. So keep in mind that the moral code of a trickster is subject to change. I give you some of the popular animals for trickster tales, and I've also given you some links to read some of the Native American trickster tales. Please do read these and write the paragraphs for each one. Now, American culture has really embraced, I think recently, has really embraced the trickster figure. I've given you some examples. The Brer Rabbit clip is from a movie, a Disney movie called Songs of the South or Song of the South. You won't find this movie easily because Disney basically hid it in their vault because when you see the clip, you'll understand that it's not, I guess, racially sensitive in its portrayal of just watch the clip. You'll understand why it's Disney doesn't have it on the shelves. But anyway, Brer Rabbit is a very popular trickster figure from Southern tradition. I don't know if it goes back to African roots or not, but a lot of people heard the story of the Tar Baby. Tar Baby would be a Brer Rabbit story. That's not the one you'll watch. I've got a few others on there. I do want you to watch the Looney Tunes cartoon because everyone needs an excuse to watch this Looney Tunes cartoon. So your excuse is your teacher told you to do it for homework. And I do think you'll see that it fits the trickster characteristics. A couple more I've got on there, but I thought of another one. A lot of times there is, well, uh, there's a Jack figure in American uh, folklore. Sorry, American folklore. You'll have a Jack figure, Jack and Jill, Jack Be Nimble, Jack Sprat, Jack and the Beanstalk. There's a popular series, comic book series by Bill Willingham, I think his name is, called Fables, and it has an offshoot called Jack of Fables, and all these Jacks are basically different incarnations of trickster figures. Jack o' lantern. If you want to research the origin of where we got the jack o' lantern, it comes from a trickster figure of Jack. Um, Keep in mind that with a trickster figure, because they are amoral, meaning that they can be both good and bad, your sympathy can fluctuate. Sometimes you may be sympathetic, sometimes you may not be. I want you to keep that in mind when you get to Neil Gaiman's Harlequin Valentine. When you listen to that story, think about what you like about what the trickster does, Harlequin, what he does. Think about what you don't like about what he does. But that's it for Tricksters. I hope you enjoy the tales, and I'm looking forward to your input and questions about it. Have a good day.